At long last, Commander 2017 spoilers have begun. My body is ready. So we're going to start off spoiler season with Balan the Wandering Knight. For 4 mana, 2 of any color and 2 white, we get a 3/3 cat knight legendary creature. Normally it'll just have first strike, but if you equip 2 or more equipment to it, it has double strike. For 1 and 1 white, you can attach all equipment you control to Balan. Okay, so first off, this is either going into Kemba Voltron or replacing Kemba altogether at the helm, depending on your personal preference. You can include the best equipment in all of Magic, some of the best equipment tutors, and just focus on getting Balan suited up to wreck face. Yes, you might not be able to spawn nearly as many cats as Kemba or Brimaz, but make no mistake, this is a very potent Voltron choice. Looking at some of the best equipment, you save so much mana by being able to attach them all to Balan for just the 2 mana. This overrides the cost to equip them that's on each individual equipment card. Getting up just to 2 equipment is not going to be that hard to do in the very least. Even better, because you can use Balan's ability at instant speed, you can utilize this as a combat trick. So while Balan attacks, if your opponent neglects to respond, you can pay 2 and suddenly Balan becomes lethal. I genuinely love this card and will definitely be brewing a deck around this legendary cat. Next up is Traverse the Outlands. This sorcery costs 4 mana of any color and 1 green, and it'll let you search up to X basic lands where X is the greatest in power among creatures you control. Those lands get put into the battlefield tapped. Oh Omnath, methinks you found a new toy. So this is actually really powerful. It might cost quite a bit to cast, a lot more than most ramp spells might be to be useful, but I liken this to something like Boundless Realms, a slightly higher than costed spell that gives you a ton of ramp. Given that this is in the cat tribal deck, which seems to put a lot of emphasis on making your creatures huge powerhouses, this can be very explosive. This is a unique ramp spell in that it's heavily dependent on your creatures. If you don't control any creatures, the spell is useless, but if you control just like a 5/5, you can bring 5 basic lands into play. Add an Amulet of Vigor, and those lands will hit the field untapped instead, giving you immediate access to them without having to wait for the turn cycle. In the original Omnath Locus of Mana deck, since you will be likely running a lot of basic lands, you can easily just pump up Omnath, drop this, and just bring out all of your lands. All of the lands. Our third spoiler, which is still from the cat deck, is Hungry Lynx. A 2/2 for 2, this creature is actually considered a cat lord, who gives all cats protection from rats. It might seem a little strange and situational until the end step, where a target opponent gets to create a 1/1 Death Touch rat. Whenever a rat dies, each cat you control gets a +1/+1 counter placed on it. Okay, so I very much like the different way that this cat goes about being a lord. Rather than just giving a static buff effect while it's in play like Regal Caracal, this cat gives a permanent buff. And while it seems slightly group huggy by giving someone a Death Touch rat token, that token can't harm your board while you have a cat in play. That, coupled with the potential board buff that might come when this token dies, suddenly that token created becomes a danger to anyone thinking about killing it. Okay, next I want to talk about 2 cards that are spoiled that work together. Nazan the Revered Bladesmith and the Hammer of Nazan. Nazan is a cat artificer that can tutor for an equipment upon hitting the battlefield, but if you tutor for his hammer, you can put that into play immediately. And when the hammer hits the battlefield, it automatically gets to equip to something, and it gives +2/+0 and indestructible. If nothing else, it can get equipped to Nazan himself. This is a very powerful ability. Not only is the hammer absurdly strong in a Voltron build, which seems to be the path this cat deck is gearing towards, but it also works well with other equipment, letting you equip them as soon as they hit the battlefield for free. This is definitely going to be a must-have in Voltron equipment builds. I almost don't care for that second ability on Nazan, though I will say that tapping down a potential blocker is always useful. We also have Miri the Weatherlight Duelist. I'm thrilled to see Miri return after her brief stint as a vampire. She's an older character from the Magic storyline. She comes with first strike, and when she attacks, each opponent can only block with 1 creature. So everything except 1 creature can go by unblocked unless she's playing something silly like Guardian of the Gateless. Also, while she's tapped, which, happens after she attacks, no more than 1 creature can attack you per combat. So she works amazingly with token decks as a start, being able to help most of your damage get through unblocked, and then helping you defend on your opponent's turns. This is a very potent set of abilities on her, and I very much look forward to building cat decks. Alright, now I didn't want to talk about any of the leaked cards in depth until spoiler season began and things started clearing up, but let's talk about the cat commander itself, Arabo Roar of the World. Eminence is this year's gimmick. While it's either on the battlefield or in your hand, at the beginning of combat you can give another cat you control +3/+3 until the end of turn. Arabo also comes with another ability only able to be used while it's on the battlefield, which is the one I like the most. Whenever a cat you control attacks, you can pay one green and 1 white to give it trample and +X/+X, where X is that creature's power. So this is nuts. You can basically pay 3 mana to cast a bit of a lesser powerful version of Berserk, which is absurdly strong, and you can do this for each cat you have attacking if you have the mana for it. You'll also likely have one of those cats be given the 3/3 from Eminence. I definitely feel the cat deck might be one of the strongest decks this year. It makes me excited to see what the other Eminence abilities might be. Now, you may have already seen me talk about the Dragon Legends that were leaked over at the AetherHub, so I'm not going to really talk about these just yet until we cover them in specific in their own individual decks. You can find the link to that video in the description of this one if you'd like to see what I think about those cards at the time that they were leaked. And so at the moment, those are all of the cards that have been spoiled at the time of recording this video. Spoilers are flooding out finally, and as a result, they might be coming out a lot faster than I can manage at my current schedule. However, I'm going to try and maintain the regular uploads and keep as up to date with the spoilers as possible. I might aim at just talking about the new legendary creatures and some of the cards I feel might be more impactful in Commander, but enough of me blathering on. What do you think of these new cards? Do you think that they're going to find homes in your Commander deck? Let's discuss this further in the comments section. Is there a deck you're planning on picking up this year? I'm hoping to get all 4, they definitely seem to be really fun, and I'm excited to take them for a test drive. Anyway, remember to like and share this video with your Commander playgroup. If you'd like to support the show directly, feel free to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/planeswalkerproject. We've got some super awesome stuff planned. Let's work to make the Planeswalker Project one of the best Commander channels on YouTube, and as always, I'll see you at the beginning of the next upkeep.